Yes, Boo, we're doing 2 videos in 1 week because mommy had to get up and get dressed because she had her boobs squeezed. Just a friendly reminder, folks, get your annual mammogram. Also, keep in mind that if you're a guy, you can get breast cancer too, believe it or not. Look it up. It's rare, but it can happen. Check yourself. Friendly neighborhood PSA from the Copy Bitch and Boo. Hi everyone, I am Robyn, the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth, and today we're going to talk about how to invoice as a freelancer. I have a feeling that anyone who's searching on this, they might not necessarily be a freelance copywriter, but how to invoice pretty much is going to apply whether you're a freelance graphic designer or a freelance illustrator or a freelance proofreader or a freelance something else. What other sort of freelancers are there? There are 2 times when you're going to have to invoice. You might invoice when a project is complete, and if you have regular recurring clients, and I realize that was kind of redundant, you will probably invoice every month, or you should get in the habit. Here's the thing, don't fall behind on your invoicing. Getting paid just doesn't magically happen. You actually have to send a bill to the customer, to the client, so that they can go, hey, we gotta pay this person. So don't get behind. I know that doing bookkeeping and keeping your accounts and checking bank statements, all that is not fun, especially if you're a creative type. But it's important because at the end of the day, people get hungry, right? So you gotta eat, you gotta pay the mortgage, you gotta, take care of the dependents and that sort of thing. So make sure you get into the habit of doing it. And I typically invoice for my regular clients at the end of the month. It's just something automatic that happens on the 30th, the 31st, whatever the last day of the month is, as long as it's a business work day. That's when I send out my invoices. Here's the thing, it can be simple. You don't have to get into all sorts of bells and whistles and fancy sort of stuff. You just need to send something simple. I use a template from Excel, from the Microsoft suite of products. In fact, I'm going to link to it in my blog posts, so check out the description below. How many times can I do this? And you will find a link to my blog posts, and from there you'll see the template that I use, and you are free to use it, and then you can customize it and make it really easy. If you want to use a product off the shelf, a virtual product like FreshBooks, or I believe PayPal probably has a way to send invoices. I've heard of Gusto. There are all sorts of ways to do it. Just find a way that works for you and just be consistent, okay? For the clients who you're working with for the first time, so maybe you just did a website for them, or you did a series of blog posts, or you did a messaging project, usually what I do, actually always what I do, is when I submit my project quote, I always get a down payment with first-time clients, and you should do that as well. I typically charge 1/3 of the project quote, so I get that, and then work commences, and then when I'm done, I send my invoice. Usually in my project quotes, actually always in my project quotes, I tell clients that the balance is due within 30 days of their receiving the first draft. That's important. You always want to send or put that reminder in your project quotes and send the bill when they have the first draft in hand. And here's why, because otherwise, if you're waiting for final approval on copy, that can kind of screw you up because they might get this first draft of a website or a series of blog posts and then ghost you. It's happened. Or they just never finalize it. So you have to keep waiting and pestering, and you can't bill them until it's final copy. Do it on receipt of the first draft and do it within 30 days. And make sure you send them the invoice so you actually are doing your part. And again, simple templates. What you need to have on there is your name, have your address. If you use an employee identification number, EIN, which I do not use, I use my social security, but I don't put my social security number on my invoice, and here's why. Usually with clients, they require me to fill out a W-9 so that they can 1099 me at the end of the year. Not all clients will do that, and don't worry about that. As long as you are reporting everything you've earned, you don't have to worry about how other people are bookkeeping. And sometimes with like one-off projects, maybe you're just working with a small business and you're helping them with their website, they're not going to 1099 you for that. But still, you don't need to put your social security number on your invoice. At least I do not, because you want to kind of protect that. You want to put the date of the invoice. So if you're doing it on the last day of the month, the 30th, 31st, 28th, 29th, whenever that last business day of the month happens, you put that on there. And then you put when it's due. And I always ask for 30 days from the time they receive the invoice. I usually itemize what I've done. So if I've done a series of blog posts, I'll do blog 1 in the title, blog 2 in the title, blog 3 in the title, blog 4 in the title. I think you get it, right? You just want to make sure you itemize all the work that you've done in that month, and then you put the price with it. And it's very simple. You'll see it in my template below. It's just a couple columns. I have a description column, I have an amount column, and then it automatically adds it up, which is good because I'm not so good with the maths. So that's it. Pretty much is it. What I do is I turn that Excel spreadsheet template thing into a PDF. That way they can't alter it. So I'm sending the PDF, and I use just a converter to turn it into a PDF, and then I email it to the client. I always copy myself, so that way I know that it's gone through. And typically with the regular clients, I just, assume it's gone through at this point because I've been working with them for so long and I know it has. For a first-time client or someone who I'm just getting started with doing regular work for, I'll just make sure, I'll ask for them to respond that they've, received it. Confirm that they have received the invoice. Here's the thing, when you first start working with a client, you want to ask them what their accounting process is. How do you get paid? Different companies will have different procedures. Especially for their vendors and their freelancers. And what's kind of frustrating sometimes is it's all over the place. Some will want you to send it to like this place, and you just have to follow the procedures and follow the procedures. They will give it to you. Make sure you follow it, because if you want to get paid, you have to kind of follow it by the book. But your part is actually generating that invoice, and then they will tell you how to send it and what email address to send it to. And you might actually have to fill out something on their end in the product that they're using to pay you. So you might have to set up like an account and things like that. Just keep track of that. Make sure you keep track of like account names and passwords. But then once you have it set up, it's usually pretty turnkey, I find. So what happens if a client doesn't pay you? Follow up. I give a grace period of maybe a few days. This is money we're talking about. And guess what? It's business. And you have to think, would the credit card company let you slide? Would the electric company let you slide? Would the car payment company let you slide? No, you would get a phone call or a knock on your door or a virtual reminder. So you have to do the same thing and treat your business as a business. If someone is late with payment, most of the time it's just an oversight. I don't think I've ever had anyone stiff me. It's usually just an oversight or something got lost. Just follow up. All right, just follow up and be consistent and keep a paper trail of your follow-ups. I kind of do everything over email. That way I have a consistent paper trail. And when I'm following up, I always follow up on the email that I had sent to them. So I will forward that so that they can see, when I sent the invoice and that it's, on them. And to pay me, please, pay me, because my sloth is hungry. A big recommendation, if your client is willing and able and they have it set up, ask for electronic payment. This is becoming more and more the norm. It's just a greener option, and it just makes life so much easier because you could get that direct deposit in your business bank account, because you have a business bank account, right? Not your personal account. You are a business. Make sure you have a business bank account, and then it's electronically deposited in there, and it's really nice. That way you don't have to deal with checks or going to the bank or bank apps or things like that. Just goes right in. I have had clients pay me via PayPal, via Venmo. I'm trying to think if there's been anything else. Be flexible. I guess that's my other recommendation. As long as they're paying you and there aren't some sort of, major fees that are being taken out, because you're using this product, that's key. You want to make sure that you don't get charged fees for making your client's life easier. As long as that doesn't happen, be flexible. If it goes to Venmo, and you can transfer it to your business account, same with PayPal. I find that most of my clients today, though, just are perfectly happy with doing the electronic payment right into my bank account. It's becoming more and more the norm, especially as people are working remotely. So ask, and it makes life a lot easier. We're all about easy, aren't we? Okay, recap time. So there'll be 2 times when you are sending invoices. When you're working with a first-time client, you will send the invoice after they've received the first draft of whatever it is that you're agreed to do for them. On that invoice, you can put that they had the down payment and they can deduct that from the balance. You know what I'm talking about. See the example in the description below. The other time you're going to be sending invoices will probably be the end of the month, or at least once a month. Make it consistent. If you do it on the 15th, that's fine. You do you, but just be consistent when you send it out. End of the month works for me, works for most people. I think they're used to that. You send it to the client. What will you have on your invoice? You'll have your name, you'll have your address, you will itemize all the work that you did, you will put the costs of all the work that you did, you'll add it up at the bottom. You will say when the invoice is due, you'll have today's date on the invoice. There's no need to put your social security number. If you have an employee identification number, you can put that on if you want, but I'd say protect your social security number. You probably want to protect your EIN as well, but I don't know as much about that, okay? You might want to put a number of your invoice. I usually do the year, so like 2022 54, 2022 56. You know, you figure out a numbering system, keep track of it in some sort of folder on your computer. I have my finance folder with all my invoices by year. Makes it easy if you have to look back. Send it via email. Copy yourself so you know it's gone through. And prior to doing this, especially with first-time clients, ask them what their process is for getting paid, because they might have specific things that they need you to do, or they might have some sort of product that they need you to go into and set up an account and all that. So just ask them what the procedure is. Sometimes it's different for freelancers. Follow it carefully, and then you will get paid. And I recommend asking for electronic payment whenever possible, because it just makes life so much easier, especially in this day and age. And I think most companies, especially after the pandemic, are used to doing everything remotely. So we don't want to touch paper. We want to protect trees, right? Yeah. As with all my videos, I include a link in the description to my blog, and on the blog post for this video, you will actually see the template that I use. You are free to download it, customize it to your needs, to fit your brand, all that sort of good stuff, and good luck getting paid. You will if you follow this procedure. And the final thought, of course, is never be shy about following up. This is business. If someone has not paid you, you can knock on their door and say, hey, what's up? I need some money. Seriously, treat your business as a business. If someone hasn't paid, follow up. Be polite about it. Keep a paper trail. For the most part, it shouldn't be a problem, but always follow up. And I think that's everything, right, Stewie? All right, I am Robyn, the copy bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, just move along, and we will see you next time. Bye!